back, everybody. Once again, another day, another grand finals here in CGL Season 12. It's all coming to an end, and we should have what should be a very tight matchup today between King's Gambit and DV Briggs CS. This is my first time working with you, actually. Yeah. It'll be an absolute pleasure. So how are you today, and how excited are you for this grand finals matchup?
Pleasure's mine, Hunter. I mean, this is a great matchup to come into, whether you've been watching the scene or not. It's Masters, sure, maybe you kind of slipped on it, but there's a great bit of action here. We're looking at a rematch from not too long ago going into the grand finals. King's Gambit here, was trying to lead the way in, and unfortunately fell already to the Divinity org in the Masters tier. So this is quite a grudge match. Going out 3-1 and forcing you down to the losers bracket gives you so much fuel going into a finals, and you can tell that's what got them here. But this is quite a monster in front of them in a lot of ways in the regards to the Divinity team.
Yeah, because King's Gambit, up until that upper finals, DV had not lost to anybody throughout the season. They were 8-0 in the regular season. They won the Stage 1 playoffs, so they had that under their belt. So them losing before getting to the grand finals is, in a way, unprecedented. And obviously they go and beat Aimless Esports in what I remember as a very brutal 3-0 to kind of make the way back up here. So they're definitely looking for revenge. And the real question on my mind is does King's Gambit just have their number, or did that just happen to be a kind of stroke of genius, perhaps? As we are going to look over at the King's Gambit lineup today. Goose and Snoops going to be over on the DPS. Boxer Walker, you can see the Reinhardt on that take. Panda and Moonki going to be running the support line to start things out here. But a very stacked team, but of course, we cannot go without mentioning their opponents here today. DV Briggs CS, as we do see Laurer and Jack Sky going to be over on the DPS. Bouchel rocking that Doomfist on the tank, and Helios and Kenku will be on the support line. So both these teams, just honestly on value alone from these games, absolutely stacked.
Yeah, I 100% agree, especially with the Divinity team with the Divinity team in particular, right? There are previous champions here. We have Keku who won in the number 11 multi-tier tournament, and one of the bench players won in number 10 as well. So there are players that understand what it takes to win and understand how to play at these high level, high pressure moments. It really does kind of lend them a bit of an edge in some regards, but I mean, on the other side of them is a very solid 5-stack, right? This is a 5-player team, no subs. They've been playing since moment one. They understand exactly what they want to do, and it's really going to be a great test to the power of their team play. And just knowing that, maybe they don't need a deeper roster, how confident are they in their own 5 as a team?
Yeah, exactly. And I did manage to get a word from somebody from the Divinity organization, because as we recall yesterday from last night, DV Cat Commanders ended up winning their matchup to close out the NAGM tier. And as I've been told, that this is DV fighting for their 7th title as an organization. That is absolutely insane for an organization to already have that many titles under their belt. They're hoping to do the same here today, and King's Gambit might really have their number, but honestly, I think we're going to have to wait and see what this first map is going to be like. And if we're going to start a big series like this, what better map to go to?
Where else are we going?
Lijiang Tower. Who would have guessed Lijiang Tower? It's only the most popular control map to have been in Overwatch since the very beginning.
Yeah, I mean, it is the most popular. It's the most scrimmed for those reasons. That kind of makes this a great starting point in reality, right? Both teams have really worked this. They both, scrim this to death. They understand exactly what you're supposed to do on A, B, and C and what their comps are going to want to do on this. So knowing likely that Bouchel from the side of the Divinity org is going to play this Doomfist, it may not be something you see a ton of, depending on what you're playing around Masters, but, Doomfist has a lot of room to move around Lijiang Tower, and if you're going to run the kind of brawl, we did see the preferred tank was a Reinhardt. If you're going to try to run at this Doomfist, it is going to be a bit of a tough ask. It is going to be a little bit easier here on Control Center, though, because this is this is the best Rhine map. This is just over history and time been a great Rhine map, and it also works for the Junkrat, which we do know that Jack's guy, who we'll see on your screen as Tylenol Torb, this works into their favor here. So this already kinds of gives a little bit of a toss-up in regards to these kind of compositions.
Yeah, and I'm curious if they really are going to go all out on this Doomfist because while it is a very good Reinhardt map, you can make the Doomfist work, and that'd be a heck of a way to start on a place that should be the best Reinhardt map on Lijiang Tower. If you get beat on that in the very first round, that alone could cause that morale to start shaking right away as King's Gambit running a very traditional brawl style comp. You got Dukes on the May and effectively, but DB with something a little different cooking in the kitchen.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that far is going to stay. No, they are going to last minute change it. They're going to play the variation of that. They say they're going to play a variation. They're going to bring in the Bastion instead, and they're just going to run more high damage as opposed to more isolation in the Mei. And I don't disagree with that, especially when you look at burning down Mei walls. Bastion's a great reason to bring that in, and Orisa just has more survivability in a lot of those cooldowns. So King's Gambit going to have to move very quick to make sure they can get past that immortality field if they want to take down these just high sustain heroes.
Yeah, and they might just end up setting a TP directly on them. They do kind of bait it out a little bit, and in fact, it forces the TP out of Brig CS for the time being. So a good opportunity for King's Gambit to be able to take this point to start things out. They're trying to pressure a little bit here and there, but nobody's going to touch that point on time. And in fact, Boshell going to be the first one to drop. Or going to take the sideline over here in their 1v1 with Goose, but Goose just has too much charge to work with. They may end up being taken down, but we're going to have King's Gambit taking the first fight here. They're going to start racking up some of that percentage.
And a lot of that was just due to their positioning. They managed to get that high ground better. They were able to keep eyes on the whole of the map. They were able to plan their teleports and approach. So now Divinity has the problem of just kind of moving in and trying to get themselves into the correct positions to try to re-intake. And they will try to get that opposite high ground. I like this entry.
Yeah, and once again, going to bait that out. Send the wall as well, going to cut off that healing temporarily. And that boom is going to be massive. That's going to send into off the edge. You lose out on so much healing out the gate, and now when you're in this 5v2 situation, you can take a little bit of time to kill people, but Liliel's going to get out, and now King's Gambit already going to have a lot of ultimates to work with in this next fight.
And not to mention that the Divinity team just hasn't been able to get any damage in. They haven't been able to build a lot up. Like you said, King's Gambit just has pretty much everything here on board. Shatter's up. There's no defensive across from it. It's going to really come down to Kenku to try to put this immortality field in the right place to prevent it.
Yeah, and that window is going to cut them off a little bit right now, so Boshell going to be caught up on the side, and that means that they're not going to be able to push until this window finally goes away. And just like that, you've already bought out 70%, you sent out the window, Boxer looking for the shadow,
bold.
Unfortunately going to get burnt away. I love the enthusiasm, but unfortunately, now you put yourself in a very tough situation. You need to find another pick very shortly here if you want to try to come back into this, but I think with Goose being taken out, that definitely is going to end things right then and there. A little bit of stall from Snoops, who's going to bring it out a little bit longer. And you know what? At the end of the day, 91, 92%, that ends up being a pretty good trade for them, as they're going to have a very, very strong ultimate within Snoop's freeze.
Yeah, I mean it was a bold play. I see what we're trying to do there. We're trying to stun out and negate the window, but you'd really rather have your Mei wall take care of it. Unfortunately, you don't. The Blizzard is going to be the win con for King's Gambit, but there's a defensive on the other side, so they're going to have to get past Immortality Field and Sound Barrier if they want to find value. This is probably just a dry push for King's Gambit here.
Really good chance to try to force out as much as you possibly can. At the very least, you can get Boshell and Lord to use their ultimates. That is a good case scenario for them, but you're gonna have to show a lot more aggression to try to force out more of these ultimates, because Gambit, right now, they're the ones that have to engage. DB has no reason to spray anything else, as we are gonna see the fans, they're gonna lose the ult in the meanwhile. Snoop's gonna go down, so now you're not gonna have that. They are going to invest in a little bit more as well. So the good side for King's Gambit, you do force out 2 ultimates, but you also lose your crucial fight-winning ultimate within that freeze.
Yeah, that Blizzard was, even if it was a bit ambitious, it needed to land to get anything out of there. There's 2 defensives now for the side up for the Divinity Org, and I mean, you have Wall, you have Sound Barrier, you're not scared of anything at this point. You might even use that, especially when Laura just hits shots like that, you're not afraid of anything.
Yeah, and now this fight is just not going to happen for the time being. Just kind of have to wait for Monkey. And now with it being 70% and counting, this is going to be the last fight. So it's going to be very important if Panda's going to be able to get this beat on time. They should be able to. And I just really want to see some heavy aggression out the gate here for King's Gambit. Set up immediately with that wall right now. As it's going to come out aggressively. The TP going to come through as well. Only a couple going to go through as the Archers and the Targets taking a little bit of space. The Pin going to come through for the time being as the Beat's going to be coming out aggressively. Healer's going to send theirs out. Everybody going to be caught inside of it as the window going to come in on the both sides. And the Shadow comes out again. You get up getting the trade out between the tanks. And now it's Snoop in the back line just trying to make some magic happen. But it's Goose who ends up taking down two of their own. Lore trying to fight over on the Hanzo, but Snoops does not want to let them go three, but it's Helios that's about two of their own, trying to find another as Panda trying to survive on the point with them. Snoops does manage to find one, and with Boxer trying to make it back on the point, but unfortunately Lore gonna find Panda with that dragon, and now Boxer, Snoops falling directly after the fact. The freeze finally comes out, but unfortunately it's gonna be a situation of too little and too late. Goose did a good job of stalling things out, but the immortality field not going to hit them in time, and Lord having a day at this shooting range, gonna help take out Panda to end things out here, but it's just gonna be a lot of stall. This is all that's happening. There's no way they're gonna get back into the situation, unfortunately.
They'll get the flip, yeah, they'll get the flip back, and then we're basically done here. Helios did a lot of work on the back end to keep them alive in that. Found two in the middle of that fight and able to keep himself active on that Lucio. That really goes to show you that back line from Divinity really just understands what they need to do to keep their team up. And they I'm going to be real, they kind of stole that one. They weren't looking like a strong team, but one good fight getting themselves in a position really took a lot of it. This is the better Doomfist map. This is kind of where I was expecting to see Boshell come over and opt into the Doomfist if this is where they're going to take it, and it looks like that is something they're considering. Meanwhile, King's Gambit has just decided, yeah, we need to go. No more tricks. We're just going to play for raw damage. And it's going to come down to protect the president here. It's going to come down to getting Snoops into positions where they can try to hopefully get to the point first and just deny entry. We'll see how the Divinity team, they're going to try to match it, except they're going to bring in the Sojourn instead to also bring in a little bit more poke and a little bit more space control. I do like those little bit changes. We'll see as they get on the point. Oh, goodness.
Yeah, it's going to be a very quick battle, and we're actually going to see Jax be the first one to go down. So now immediately, if you are Divinity, you do kind of have to back off and wait for Jax to come back. So Gambit in a position here to potentially just cap this without really any opposition, honestly.
I mean, you can't really contest that at that point. There's nothing you can really do. The Bastion's there. Woo! Orisa is a good counter. Great shot from Laura though, who's been a total marksman this whole game. It's just hard. You're not running into the Bastion with the Orisa, especially with no cooldowns up.
Yeah, and that fight is just as good as over now.
It's over though.
But not gonna. Ooh, we have a pause over on the scene. It looks like that is a Snoops who calls the pause. We'll kind of see what's cooking in the kitchen there, but we kind of already seen out the gate here that King's Gambit does have this innate ability to be able to start winning the fights early on. But when you kind of are in the situation where you leave someone like Laura alive, kind of just hitting away on the flank angles, they're shutting down these fights, and even in the back up, it's like you need to be able to kind of secure these off angles a little bit better.
Yeah, that is kind of the struggle with these brawl comps, right? You really want to play as a unit, but at the same time, you are prone to just getting poked out by these long-range heroes, the Hanzos, the Sojourns, the things that can really force you to engage onto them. And sometimes when you force those engages, that's where those errors comes in. That's why Lore has been able to find that one slide off angle. They had their slide up and were able to get away, and they were able to find some picks, and that was all they needed. But between Lore and Helios, those are the two heroes of this Divinity squad right now, and they have been putting in a lot of work. They have the positioning here. They'll have the Sim turrets back up, so it's gonna. I'm looking for Snoop to just kind of find a way to break in. If it's gonna happen, it's gonna come off the wheels, and it's probably gonna come from a pick on Delore or Tylenol Tor.
Pretty much is right now, Boshell already getting a little bit low, but Kenshu gonna be able to build up towards that window momentarily. Gonna get very low as Immortality Field gonna get forced out kind of early. You see the Pricer in the back. Snoops going to find that first pick, but for the time being, the flip going to just simply come through. So now we're a 4v4 scenario. King's Gambit does have the double support ultimates, but you might not need either of them right there, but you are gonna manage to push Snoops off the side of the map. Boshell doing a really good job to survive on this point. Unfortunately, going to be taken out, and Lord, as good as you are, you're not going to be able to win the 3v1 with Boxler slamming that hammer into your face.
Yeah, that was they gave that up a little bit earlier than they wanted to, but I think that was their initial call to get out of the way. Now with ults coming online, I mean, there's still no sound barrier from Helios. Panda is leading there, so I'm really watching that. That's the difference maker. Helios needs to get this. The later sound barrier could work in their favor for Divinity here. Oh, great shatter.
It's great, but that window being sent directly back into them pretty much going to cause them from being able to do anything. So for the time being, just got to hide away, because right now you have the advantage. As soon as that wall drops, though, You should push this as a 5v4 and try to get rid of them. And oh no, Jax, you're in a pretty bad situation. There's the beacon has been forced out over the side of King's Gambit, and now trying to catch everybody they can. But Boxer actually manages to find the pin over onto Kenku.
Late sound barrier.
It's doable, but Laura coming back in, finding a 2K of their own, helping out with the third again. Laura bringing back this fight.
Yep.
King's Gambit used a heck of a lot of ultimates. Ultimately, though, losing that fight.
But this is what happened last time, right? They got it to King's Gambit got it to 100. Divinity turned it around and just ran it from 100 to 0. A lot of that, I was asking Helios to come through with that sound barrier. It looks like he will. There's still an ultimate left in Snoops though, so a pick here means that King's Gambit can get their way in.
Yeah, and that's gonna come down, get a lot of people low, but unfortunately nobody's gonna go down right now. It's gonna get saved a little bit as Laura looking around, trying to hunt down on the Snoops, eventually gonna take them out. You managed to catch your Helios, but I think a lot of the damage is already going to be done. Burning away at that shield, trying to find something else to pin, finding absolutely no receipts, and now you seem to be moved off the edge. Take that reset as one guy gonna be burnt out there at the very end.
You're going to take whatever shots you can get, whatever ult charge you can get. That's the difference of the Sojourn versus the Bastion, right? You get a little bit more consistent damage in the Sojourn. That Railgun comes a lot more online and has a lot more pick potential versus Bastion, who has such a long cooldown between those wheels going up. It's a single wall for Jax Guy. This is going to be the difference maker. Kenku's window is shortly behind it, but this is their chance to shut it down and win the map if they use these two ultimates correctly and efficiently.
Lower getting away there at the side a little bit. This Monkai 96% right now. All they have to do is just get the initial touch onto it to be able to force the overtime, as they're just going to TP around, use their own window, but Goose gets booped off the side by Helios to start things out here. And now trying to make some magic happen, but Laura finding Mukai. It's all going to fall apart here. We do see a nice little trade up, but unfortunately the last couple members a little too separated, not able to make their way back. Divinity going to start out strong here on Nepal and put themselves with the initial map in the first of 4 series.
We weren't sure. We were looking at their kind of an odd comp. We know they like to play Doomfist. We know what they like to play. We do know that Laura loves to play Widowmaker, and Widowmaker took a bit of a hit, but Sojourn can do a good Widowmaker impression, especially when you can just one tap with rails. So, I mean, it's hard not to look at that matchup and just say, these are two different teams, trying to run a similar comp in a different way. That Sojourn really just punishes this brawl comp in a lot of different ways that you may not see at the Masters level. You're used to seeing the Sojourn in these kinds of comps, definitely at GM. You might see them here and there in Masters, but the space control, the pick potential out of the Sojourn really is kind of just really showing why you almost want that pick on for your hit scan over something like the Bastion.
Yeah, because while you do have more burst potential with the Bastion, you also are able to get around a lot more on the Sojourn. As a Reinhardt symmetric comp, you can't just full commit to the Sojourn and say, oh, let's just shut them down. No, they have the slide. You could TP on them.
Yeah.
It will not matter. They slide out. Now you committed cooldowns, and now it's not going to work. And, hey, so we know how we said Lijiang Tower was one of the most popular maps in the game.
Was there a question? Was there really a question? Like, look, I haven't casted a CGL Overwatch in quite a bit of time, but I could tell you exactly where we're going. And as you see the video change behind me, yeah, we're going to King's Row. Like, were you even guessing that, Hunter? Like, were you even questioning that at this point?
I've done quite a few of these already throughout the playoffs, and I don't think I've seen a team go outside of King's Row, honestly. So, yeah, it's not shocking in the slightest. And I don't think it's going to be entirely shocking what we're going to see either. I imagine that there's a really good chance we're going to see that Ryan versus Orisa comp once again. Maybe you bring out the Doomfist, but I think Lijiang was your opportunity to do it, and I think now that you've noticed that this Orisa Sojourn style is working, I don't think you've been given a reason yet to get off of it.
Oh, no, you have no reason to get off of it. If anything, this is just allowing everybody else around Lure to put more resources into them. And since Divinity will be defending first, they're going to look to try to put this. They're going to set the marker as to how far they need to clear. Yeah, they're not changing anything. I don't assume... Well, I can't say that. This is actually not a bad map for Doomfist here. I don't hate it if they bring that out. I think the question mark is like, do you feel you need to? The Orisa comp worked perfectly well. You understand your cooldowns. You understand how to enable both Helios and Lure to control the space around them. Lure picking up the Hanzo makes more sense too. That's just raw pick potential in those headshots. King's Gambit on the other side. We'll see what they go into here because they're playing from behind now. They might just run in. It looks like they'll make the adaptation to bring in the Sojourn as well, just from initial showings. And I don't hate it. The Bastion's a cute pick. I don't think it works this far up. I think a lot of teams at this level have seen it, understand it, know how to exploit the downtime of that Brawl comp, and I think this is just a little bit more consistency in the damage that can be output in the Sojourn. So Goose has a lot to watch out for in this matchup versus Lurer.
I'm curious what they're going to go in here, because very quick backstory, I made up a strat where you basically come out here, jump on the bus and TP ahead, but they don't have the TP, so they're just going to use that to repel themselves off the top and immediately work their way onto the point. I don't know if Divinity was seeing that one coming. The wall going to come out, but not going to catch them. We are certainly giving yourself a good ability to hold on to that point, but with Move Kai down, you already lost all your healing potential. I absolutely love the idea, because even though you lose the fight, that was a 20-second fight from them leaving spawn to now. So
no, that's a cute little set play. I really do like that. I think it has the potential to work, but I think the other part is you kind of need the Rhine to get a pin in that situation for it to really, really come to success. So they're gonna swap it out here, bring in a Pharmacy. I'm not sold on the Rhine Baptiste kind of 2-2-1 split we're getting here, but it does get Lurer, so that's all it needs.
Nah, I completely love it. Honestly, you just play as a 3-stack together. You send the Pharmacy around to take out these off angles and just keep up the aggression. But Goose going to go down, so this isn't set in place quite yet, as we do see Jack still on the point. Now it's gone a second of their own. Snoop just kind of has to come together, try to find one more, but so far, they're not going down. They just went up a little too far, but now Snoop's ultimately going to fall down. This comp can work from King's Gambit, but they still need to kind of go on the same target together.
It's hard to make that kind of shot calling work, though, and they'll bring in the Cassidy to kind of balance it out. But with ults coming online now, the window from Jaxsky is up. That is the defensive there, so they'll have an answer to if they're tracking well the barrage coming up. So they should, again, be able to hold this. There's just so much more sustain on the side of the Divinity squad here between these just thick characters.
Who's going to make their way around, wants to be able to find a rail shot over on the side. Is the TP going to be spent back and forth? The Fox are going to go down first, so all that frontline presence is going to be down the drain. And if you're Snoops right now, along with Panda, you might just chill out in the backline for the time being and take attention. And the Boxer going to go over towards that Orisa of their own, so going to likely wait, but actually just going to invest into this fight. And Laura going to take care of Goose Snoops directly following after the fact, and now we're to see that little Foul Mercy come on the one. They're Riz out as well. They're going to be taken out, but we are to see Panda back up for the time being. Hopefully trying to find a headshot of their upper pin too. Gonna hold their own. As this fight is just never ending so far, so.
No, they're still pushing, but the other thing that works in the Divinity team's favor is they're pushing it down to last fight. It's about a minute and a half here, which means with 4 ults online, including 1 defensive, they should be okay to hold this out. They're just gonna save it for Barrage. Never mind, he catches it. Great cancel.
That's fantastic. I was so terrified for Laura there for about a quarter of a second until they ended up pulling it out. And now, with that final blow at the end there, I don't know, this is a really tough situation for King's Gambit.
King's Gambit needs something huge here. There's a sound barrier against him. There is a Terra Surge. They're going to have to bring in their own. Goose is the only person that can come up huge, and they have the answer for it, so they really have to. We really need to see Goose come to life here with these rails.
Yep, it's going to basically come down to that, is they're going to make sure to get rid of that TP, make sure there's no kind of shenanigans over on the sideline, but Panda could be dropping super early. You get the Immortality filled out. Boxer, though, getting super low. Not going to be drained away quite yet. But now with Lore down, this is absolutely your best case scenario right now to be able to push in a 4v4 situation. Even if you just need to send out Goose aggressively here and just start hitting the railguns. You want to try to force Helios to use that beat. You don't want to let them hold on there for too long here, as they're going to get aggressive here. Going to manage to slide out as the overclock going to come through. Bolt of the support down, but Lore going to still manage to find the headshot. They don't need the overclock. You don't need that here, as Lore going to try to find one more on the way out. Looking for it, not quite going to find it. Is now Panda the only person that's likely going to be able to touch for this team.
I don't even think they'll get it. It looks like that last fight from Lure is going to get it. He's low, he'll make it, but if Snoops can get this Blizzard in time, they may stand a chance here.
Yeah, and Panda surviving temporarily for the time being. Going to work out well for them. They're going to try to make their way past Snoops. Going to have to hide in there for the time being. Boxer going to be alive. The freeze going to come online. Going to catch Boshell inside of there. In fact, it catches down to 3 people, but I think the damage, unfortunately, has already been done. Lore finding another 2 of their own. Just having an absolute day at the shooting range now as they complete the cleanup in King's Gambit. Not a single tick to their name on that attack.
Hunter, I think we were talking about it earlier, but I think we can confirm it now. This Divinity Briggs team, they are here to win. They want to win. They are mad that they lost to King's Gambit before, and they are bringing it back in spades. You don't shut down an undefeated team, through the season, the mid-season champions. You don't shut a team like that down and don't expect them to come back with just hands ready to be thrown at you, and they are throwing them now. A full hold tells me that this Briggs team absolutely went back, just montaged their way into this. So King's Gambit has the most difficult task here of doing the fuller hold, and I think it has to start with putting a little more pressure on Lurer. That's the only thing I can think of that's really been a very detriment. There's not been pressure onto the Baptistes in the back, and there's not really been a lot that's worked in their favor. But between Lurer and the immortality fields from Kenku, this Divinity team has just been unkillable. They're going to bring in a defensive dive here. It looks like to start. Yeah, it looks like they're going to bring in a more defensive dive, just deciding the back line. They're going to... Oh, never mind. We're just going to see the full... Okay, yeah, well, all right, we're not going to talk about that for now. King's Gambit.
Content.
Never mind. King's Gambit is going to end up with the Orisa, though. They're going to bring the Kiriko as well. They are playing for the one... they're playing to survive here, because this is Immortality Field and Suzu means that, the Mei hopefully can self-sustain. Goose can hopefully get a couple headshots. This team needs to not suffer a first pick here.
Yeah, because honestly, if we just see Laura get a shot on the big Goose to start doing that here, it's just already going to fall apart, unfortunately. So as long as you can kind of keep Laura away with that Hanzo, I think you could give yourself a small potential of winning this. But it all starts with that very first fight. Got to make some magic happen. So for the time being, I'm going to see Divinity work their way around onto that high ground. Just kind of take it over, just wait for their opportunity. They're in absolutely no rush right now to force this first fight. Just gonna wait for their opportunity, and Goose gonna get Laura to start things out here, so they've created themselves an opportunity to win this very first fight. Oshel kind of trying to make their way out of there. Snoop's gonna help out getting rid of Helios, and now that first fight going to go over to King's Gambit. It's one of many you need to win, but that is one good start you need to have.
Yeah, it's at least 3 more needed down the line, and considering they're not playing for anything huge like an EMP or a Blizzard, I think this is just expected to win on... I think the Divinity team is just looking to win on a pick out of Lurer at this point. They're playing it slow, they're taking their time, they know they can do it, but right now, just looking across the ults, King's Gambit is not giving up the position, they're keeping him narrow at the choke, and Goose is leading right now in this Hanzo kind of duel, so the ultimate should come online first. The trade picks, though, that's an important pick for the side of King's Gambit.
Yeah, and Snoop actually finds a second of their own, but Laura has found a second of their own as well. And remember, Divinity going to have a much closer spawn than King's Gambit, so Moonkai likely going to have to use this window here kind of aggressively, as DP doesn't really have an issue trying to hold back here. They can just push as the score, and now Moonkai going to go down before they can get the window out! And now that Dragon going to split up Boxer from the rest of their team, trying to survive on the point, but Laura is having none of it. Make that one, make it a second! Come out, peek them out, give him another one, but not even going to bother, as we are going to see Divinity take the second map here on King's Row dominantly thus far. As you said, Divinity, they're here to win, and they are 100% showing that thus far.
Yeah, I mean, Laura just looks phenomenal right here, and the rest of the team around them just really making it known. They're buying the space for Laura to just have this free reign. What a play out of that Cassia. Like you said, that was such a dangerous moment. I was expecting the sound barrier there to protect, but turns out Laura can attack and protect at the same time on this Cassidy. That's kind of all you want out of a player. Like, what more do you need out of your DPS player than to just not only peel for your team, but save you an important ultimate like the sound barrier? That is a huge comeuppance, and right now this Divinity squad just looks dominant. They just look like they are not here to play. They are here to win, and they're just not having anything less than total victory.
I think it's kind of worth noting, because as we talked about at the beginning, before this match started, these two had faced each other before. King's Gambit did come away the winner, and it's worth noting, actually, surprisingly, they didn't play, Lijiang Tower and King's Row. They ended up playing Nepal and Blizzard World, which does kind of perplex me a little bit, because this was the pick of King's Gambit to be able to go to King's Row. And obviously, sometimes this is just the decisions that are made maybe by the coach. Maybe the players will come together and think that they, in this situation with what they were running, this is our best case scenario. But now I start to wonder what you're going to start cooking here, because now you know that this is what they want to try to run, and I again, we talked about this before, I don't imagine they're going to switch off of it either. And I don't think you have a need to either, especially with Flashpoint going to be our next map type. And we're talking about quote-unquote popular maps. And I know there's like 2 maps of Flashpoint.
Yeah,
but there's one that is definitely the most popular one. It is definitely just going to be Surabasa. So,
yeah.
I mean, are you going to expect anything different, at least specifically from King's Gambit instead?
I feel like King's Gambit has to dig and find something here. Just kind of like skimming their rosters, you know, and like what people have played a ton of and what people prefer to play, you know. Dive isn't the strongest right now, but I do see that there's a lot of time between these players on these dive heroes. It's not the greatest dive map, but at this point, you're down 2-0. It's kind of worth considering what might be out there. The Rhine comps haven't really worked. The Orisa has kind of fumbled a little bit. So, you know, if you're looking for something, you know, it might just be falling back into some comfort picks here. You know, the Reinhardt is a comfort pick. Lucio Ana is a comfort pick. You can still get value out of that. You know, those kinds of things are still there, and it looks like they will come into a few different things here. They'll bring in the Genji and Goose back to the Bastion. I don't hate that. I just don't think the Genji is going to get value. You usually want Genji if there's a Bastion opposing you or something of that nature, but there hasn't, you know, Divinity hasn't shown that. And on the other side, I don't know that they're going to show this, but I don't hate this. Brig is secretly a bit, or I'm sorry, I was like, I don't think they're going to show that. They're going to hold it to the last minute and try to make me look like a fool. No, they have no reason to change anything. They're just going to keep going. Again, it's just going to, the question for Divinity is, how much space can we give Laura to just free fire and just go uncontested? The more Laura goes uncontested, the more they just win these points.
Yeah, and I think that is why ultimately Snoops is going to be over on the Genji, so you are going to be able to deliver pressure over somebody like Laura, who's already low, and in fact, Goose going to get that final blow onto them over on this side, so King's Gambit in a really good situation to win this, but as I say that, Snoops going to go down. We're going to see Jax over on the side, just burning people away, nailing them as they're send out the TP to perhaps cause some confusion, but I don't think anybody saw where that TP went in the first place, so both teams just trying to secure the place on the point. You see Boxer and Goose are trying to burn away Bosha, but Kenku gonna win that Baptiste 1v1, and now that's gonna cause the burnout of the rest of the members of King's Gambit one by one. Kind of eventually see Snoops trying to make their way back in the fight. Damage already more than done. And hey, look at Helios really quick. They already have meat on for this fight.
Yeah,
what?
That's nuts. That's nuts. That tells me Helios is getting so much work and so much healing in that back line, and that's just a single fight. That's not fair. Helios, you can't do that to them. They have families. Come on, man. I mean, Snoop sticking on this Genji is a bit of a question mark to me. You know the Symmetra's opposed to you. You know turrets are there. I'm not sold on it. Even if Divinity commits this, if they commit this sound barrier, they should be fine to hold off, but Monkey does have window. I mean, Kenku has their own, but Laura is just going to fire in logs.
Yeah, Mokai down. This is already a really rough situation. Laura gets low, and eventually Panda going to find them, so they're going to get super aggro with that beat. And but Snoop's finding Jax right now. This is 100% a winnable scenario now for Gambit. They are going to ultimately end up using a couple of ultimates to win this fight, but it's just going to be a little stalled. But Kenku, Bosha, if you want to stagger them out, you can, but I think you just want to, you know, save as much time as you possibly can for this next fight. And hey, now they're set up in a good position. You don't have the beat to contest Snoop's blade either, so they're actually set up in a decent position to win this next fight.
It's a little risky to get Snoop's blade of a lot of value here. There's a wall. The wall ain't gonna stop it though. I'm more watching for Boshell to use this Terra Surge defensively here. Maybe comboed with something else here with Laura's ult to kind of buy the space. There's a lot of space control from the Divinity side, so they're gonna have to really slice this King's Gambit team up to deny value from the blade and get past Immortality.
Oh, that's so brilliant. They send the dragon in from behind while the aggression comes in from the front. Ultimately, it finds nobody, as you do see Snoop kind of slash away in that back line. Nobody down yet, as here it comes in. They're going to eventually get rid of Snoops as well. They're just trying to buy as much time as they possibly can, because you need to die on this point to be able to buy your team as much as they possibly can. And Panda, getting lower does help out a little bit, and with 68% counting, King's Gambit got to make a choice whether or not to invest here, because they can if they want to.
I mean, you have, I don't know. You don't have a ton of tools here. You might get Panda's sound barrier in the mid fight, so that might be the reason to invest here. You're going to kick it off with Goose's artillery, but this is going to be a tough entrance.
They are going to get on them. Going to send out their mortar strike, trying to find some bodies right now, getting people low.
That's huge.
Actually, is going to find Jax. That's a little shocking. But can you manage to get Boxer after the fact? Snoop, though, is coming alive for this team, getting rid of Lure. A big piece of this team thus far. Just have to burn away a couple more members with DV, with just the supports left on the point. King's Gambit make the gamble to come back to point, and it ends up working out for them. They should claim this first point without further contention.
That's great. I mean, it worked out perfectly for them. Snoop's now over on the preferred hero of the Genji is a huge comeuppance too. They'll start this next fight with Sound Barrier. Helios is a little bit behind, but they have to use this almost proactively here. They need to engage with the Sound Barrier and deny Helios the ability to get their own. He builds those so quick, and the later Sound Barrier will punish them. So King's Gambit could stand this and win this first point, this second point, if they act quick here.
Definitely going to have to right now as Panda. There is a good shot they try to use this beat very aggressively. We're just going to have to see how Divinity is going to react here, because for the time being, just going to poke away as they're going to wait for that point to unlock, see if they can catch anybody in the offset. But unfortunately, Laura actually going to be the first one to drop. Exactly. That's your best case scenario, honestly. Now Kenku with a really tough decision whether or not to invest, and you're just going to see them simply back off, survive, wait for Laura to come back.
Okay, yeah, that's the right call. I was gonna say you don't full and disengage this. You get out of the way enough. You have both of your support ultimates up. You know there's only a defensive across from you. Sound Barrier should be up. It's kind of just poke a little bit further. You need a win con, and it's not there until Laura is back. So later, Sound Barrier wins the fight here.
Yeah, honestly, and I imagine we might have a beat as soon as we see that window come up for Moonkai. It's going to come out. Leo's going to hold it on for the moment. And in fact, we're going to see the investment is going to pull the beat away temporarily enough for Jax to be able to go down first. So now King's Gambit coming alive. You're just trying to burn away the supports. Kenku getting super low, burnt away over on the side. They're absolutely won, but Lure coming back alive in this fight, finding a 2K of their own. And now it's Goose, the only DPS left on the point, trying to make some magic happen, but Lure has just found headshot after headshot, and now they're going to help burn away Moonkai almost single-handedly, bringing that fight back for Divinity.
They just cannot let this man's get away with this. They genuinely cannot. You know Lure is Divinity's win condition right now. And now they're in the best spot they could possibly be in. They have a wall, so they have a defensive. This great rotation of defensive ultimates from the squad. It's working so well. Lure has rails, so now there's even more danger up. And there's nothing for King's Gambit to stop it. Their best case scenario is to pull out as many ults and hope for the next push.
Yep, we're going to see Goose can bring this out aggressively. They do only need to win the one fight to be able to take it to the next round, and Emilio's going to be the first one to be called out. But we do see the investment heavily from both sides. Lure going to help find Snoops, and now with that bird onto Boxer, you just need to try to get out while you can. You're in a 4v3 situation, while Panda is going to manage to find Jax. It's not going to matter a whole lot. With that kind of early kill into Moonkai, once again, King's Gambit have a choice to make here.
It's probably not going to be an invest. You have Blade. You're not going to get the full. You'll get the full 5 in time. If you're paying attention, you know that there's not much on the other side from you. They'll try to get the recontest. It's gonna have the pressure's on for Snoop now. He has to get value. He has to get this Baptiste out of the way ASAP. No, there's no time.
If Snoop just dashes in, they 100% can get that. And now Big Goose finds 2. And that's perfect. You know, you could have potentially won that fight, but unfortunately, you're just half a second too late. And now we're going to see them try to finish this out over on the point, trying to push them off the edge. You are going to manage to find the boot. Helios set in directly after the fact. So King's Gambit should be in a position to get to the point first, but I think DV's spawn is actually a lot closer.
I think they might be closer. Yeah, I think they might have the. Yeah, they'll get there first. Again, it puts this pressure onto Snoops, though, who now has to play into a Sound Barrier and the Immortality Field. There is so much longevity from this Divinity team, and it's just going to have to come. Like, we're looking down the road 2 and 3 ultimates now, so we're looking for Boxer Walker here to really come in with this Terror Surge at this point.
Yeah, and honestly, you might just use it just to be able to try to force it out. It's just going to come online temporarily. We are going to manage to get everybody with it as well. Snoops just has to make sure they stay alive. As Goose actually going to manage to find Jax. In the meanwhile, the point going to open up over the favor of King's Gambit. Goose almost unnecessarily going to use that ultimate, which, to be fair, the fight was going on at the time. It's a worthwhile investment. And hey, you use a lot, but still, it's perfectly fine. You get a ton of percentage, and you're still going to have the Terror Surge from Boxer as well.
I mean, yeah, you would much rather keep Terror Surge. That's a much better space control in a lot of regards in regards to keeping and enabling the rest of your team to find picks and value as opposed to the artillery, so you're happy with that. Terror Surge is on both sides. The defensive rotation for the Divinity team, not quite there, so Jaxman, Tylenol Torb is going to have to try to build a little bit more if they want to have an answer to the Terra Surge on the other side. Otherwise, it's just we're watching Laura. Laura's just going to find that magic first pick as he constantly does.
Yeah, that TP gonna send everybody to the back area. That Terra Surge gonna come through, trying to find somebody. It's just gonna get pulled directly back by Boxo, and it's gonna end up finding Mukai, or at least with the help of Lord. Now Lord in the back line, ends up getting a trade out, but right now it's Boxer Walker that has found 2 of their own. Gonna make it a 3rd, and with just Helios on the point, trying to make the hero play happen, finding one, but not gonna find another. King's Gambit should be able to bring themselves 2-1 right now over here on Seraphos. They have a chance to start making that comeback.
The thing that I've noticed between that they've started doing has really been kind of watching for Monkey to use those immortality fields later, trying to make sure the rest of the team can sustain as long as they can and try to hold on to it. And that's been a lot of their success as it is. You know, the longer immortality field, the longer you sustain, you just win these fights. Lure has rails up. There's no defensive across. It's really going to watch for Snoop to just have to put some pressure onto this. They're going to need to get Lure out of the picture before he finds value with these rails, or they lose point here.
Honestly, you never want to purposely lose the fight in this situation, but this might be a situation where you want to try to force out as much from Divinity as you possibly can, especially that overclock. That is, with all intents and purposes, the most deadly thing that you could run into on the side of King's Gambit, but they are going to manage to open the point for the time being, as we're going to see that wall investment come out from Jax, as we're going to see they're going to invest heavily into this, try to find somebody as the beat's going to come online, but Goose not going to get caught with it, so now things even directly back out. Boxer going to be taken out. And little by little, it's looking like DV gonna be able to take this one away. But Panda has now found a second of their own, trying to get lower, getting that dash back to be able to secure the win. And now it's just Bojo trying to bring this back. But that's super smart from Snoops. They realized they missed the initial dash, so they pull the blade to get the dash back and the catch lore because of it.
And even more importantly, it extended the length of that fight, which means now they're already at 60%. Now we're looking at one fight territory. They don't have a defensive, so it's only the immortality field keeping them up until Boxer Walker gets that field online. Brig Divinity should be able to push back and take this back. They'll have 3 ults on board, including a defensive. Ooh. They should be able to win the longer fight as long as it goes their way. So just need to make this fight go longer, win it on 99.
Yep, kind of big as Boxer is going to find Jax to start out the fight. And now they're just going to push past the window.
No
Boxer's going to bring in, try to find somebody, and they're going to force out the beat. But Boshell going to find Goose, and now Boxer just trying to survive, trying to get the spin online. But unfortunately, Snoop's going to follow them directly into the pasture. And now King's Gambit, they take the investment to try to make it work. Unfortunately, it doesn't work. But the silver lining is you do force out a lot of ultimates from Divinity in the process.
Yeah, that's kind of what you wanted out of it. You took as much as you could. You have to win one fight, which is still pretty good. You can close this out. You're not really close to anything, so that means this fight either needs to take a little bit more time and extend it, or you need to build these ults fast. You need Snoop to come up into Blade ASAP. That's your only answer. You need to strike while Helios doesn't have this sound barrier. You have to get past these immortality fields. Laura's going to pick up the Bastion too, meaning that they're going to match.
Yeah, and with that down, you need to go off the edge as fast as you possibly can right now. You're not bringing this fight back. You just want to die as quick as possible, and there they go. Get that little good kill for yourself, Helios. A nice little environmental kill. And now King's Gambit, this is rough. They're 70% to a lot of important ultimates, so this last fight gotta last a little while.
They didn't quite get what they wanted out of it, in the sense that they didn't get all the ultimates they're looking for. The longer it goes on for them is the better. If Divinity plays this aggressively with Lure's artillery, they should be able to maybe kick the fight off earlier and pressure him out. The wheels early from Lure means that he's going to have this as they enter.
Not again. They can't do that again.
They can't do that, no.
All right, I understand it. But now Lure doesn't even have to invest this either. They're going to TP on top, put themselves in a really rough situation, but right now, they can just pile on right onto Moonkai, going to be able to take them out here. In King's Gambit, they were in such a good situation because there's only 1 point left to go. They could have just simply gone to it, taken advantage of it, but now, Divinity, with a really good opportunity to simply make it there, and they should get that first touch. No contest, honestly.
I understand why we hesitated, but this has been a kind of a running thing for King's Gambit here. They've been really hesitant. As a Reinhardt player from Boxer Walker, you can't hesitate. You hold W, you go forward, and you know that. 3v2 in the ultimate bank here means that King's Gambit has an advantage, especially with Sound Barrier. I'm watching for the later Sound Barrier, especially now that Tylon Torb goes down with Wall.
Yep, and that's going to be nice. We see that blade come out. Snoop's going to find one of their own, helped out with the other on Lure, and now they should be able to win this first fight. Ends up working out well for them, but honestly, maybe you can kind of forgive it now. They win that first fight, it works out at the end of the day, but this next fight,
Do I have to, Hunter? Do I really have to? Because that was I won't, because that was the ambition they needed to take on the previous 2 points. Snoops went in no fear, knowing that they were there. What do you need? You need all 5 ults to tell you that's your go button? Like, you can't play that. You're down 4 now, and you both have... Like, this is now an even fight here, Hunter.
Yeah, not anymore, though. You're gonna lose Panda. Goose is already super low. Right now, King's Gambit, your best case scenario is to go and die on this point. But Goose actually gonna have the invest here in order to really rough situation. Gonna fight too! And we're gonna find that additional kill from Boxer. And now 60% and counting here. You're gonna get that late pick onto both of the DPS. And now you invest to win that fight. But Divinity coming in with all of their ults still. They only really used the Mortar Strike to be able to win that one.
I mean, that was fine. You're fine with that. You spent your team combos. I will applaud good team play though, Hunter. So they earned that, but they need to close this out here for ultimates across from them. They still have both of these sound barriers. So, I mean, the 2 defensive from the Divinity team though, I think it just gives them a little bit of an edge here, especially when you get a first pick.
That's the Ajax. Oh,
yeah,
that's so unfortunate.
Get out.
And now again, the bright side is you did force out like. Again,
you committed. Wow.
From DV, but yeah, they still committed from King's Gambit though. The beat and the window. So now you'll have nothing for this next fight, and if you're unlucky, you might not have anything for the fight after.
A bit of an overcommitment for Divinity, but yeah, you have 2. You have that same pull artillery combo coming up, so. You know, it's going to come again. Again, here we are again. History repeats. 1 fight win for King's Gambit. I want to see them play aggressively. I know they're down, but that means I want them to push and find these Baptistes to get them out of the way. No, that's good. They're clear. They're safe.
No, well, Boxer's not. Boxer decided to go the other way around, so now we're in a really rough situation. Boshell going to be able to live for the time being. Problem is, somebody has to be able to get this touch, and unfortunately, it's either going to have to be Snoops or Panda, and honestly, they might just die from getting this correct touch, as Panda's going to get booped away temporarily, and again, they're not going to touch the point! You Gambit, are you trying here? You can't do that 3 times in a row! Oh my god.
I can't. Hunter. I want to support these guys. I want to love King's Gambit. They've shown me good team play. They've shown me great decision making. They're just not acting. They're just not taking the initial step. There's some amount of hesitancy that's really throwing them off their game. They're waiting for the point, and you can't wait for destiny. You have to go make your own destiny here. And now that you're 3-0, like, this is match point. You have to take this into your own hands and go forward, because right now King's Gambit is essentially giving this to Divinity if they continue to hesitate like this.
I mean, I don't even have the words for that. Again, it happens once, whatever, couple little moment, we laugh about it. The second time, well, that's not a trend you want to have happen. Man, you really want to do that. But a third time, on the final fight of the map, and you don't even just get the touch. I know you're going to die if you get the touch, but you literally do not have a choice. You have to die on the point and secure the overtime. I just do not get it at this point. I'm gonna let you take us out of this one, because I need to calm down.
I don't blame you.
That one.
It's all right. It's all right. We're gonna give everybody a break. It'll be cool. We'll take 5. We got game 4, maybe match point possibly coming up after a quick break. We'll see our next map. So hang tight. We'll be right back.
Welcome back, everybody. Once again, here with the NA Masters Finals here in Season 12 of CGL between King's Gambit and Divinity Briggs SCS. And, you know, when I went into this, I was very much expecting to have a close matchup. I thought we'd be going in with like a 2-1 scoreline between these teams, but honestly, I'm gonna keep it 100. I'm gonna keep it a buck with everybody. DV has basically dominated throughout 90% of the series. It has not been particularly close. I'm trying to be kind here. Like King's Gambit has shown they can do good, but they make the perfect sandwich and then they drop the plate.
Yeah,
that's what's happening here.
Look, the proper overall terminology is they fumbled the spaghetti. Let's be real here. They walked out they walked out the kitchen, they hit a lip, and they fumbled the spaghetti. But at the same time, let's not take away from the fact that Divinity is just a straight up strong team. They are the mid-season winners. They went undefeated in the main season. Look, they just took the loss personally, and they are back. Like they straight just montage their way back into this, and now at match point, they just want to make a statement. They want to make the statement that, look, you are our only loss. We will punish you for that.
Yeah, definitely so. And I do have to call into question. I'm not trying to rag on the scene, but they do get their map selection once again, and they're going to take us over to Coliseum, which, you know, your initial thought is, oh, okay, they're just going to go back to the Ryan style comp. They have confidence here. They probably won this map last time, right? No. Divinity beat them last time in their matchup in the upper final. So I'm very curious of the ideology here of why. And this is
back. I'm not sold, and this is still just a good Sojourn map. Like realistically, Laura can sit on the Sojourn or the Hanzo. There's plenty of sightlines that you can hold once you're out past this main angle. This is going to be a real question mark, and we were kind of discussing it, you know, in the booth of, you know, what has really kind of been some of the problems here. And I think part of the problem is that Laura just kind of goes uncontested in a lot of ways. Divinity is going to look to bring out possibly the Doomfist. I'm not going to talk about them because they've tried this all the time. But meanwhile, King's Gambit, they're going to bring out the Sigma here. It's a different look. It's a bit slower. It's kind of what we're used to seeing, right? We're used to this Sigma kind of poke with an isolation of the Mei. So it can work, and it's going to force them to kind of play a little bit slower. And that tempo change may work for them. Divinity is going to slip back into, you know, look, it ain't broke, don't fix it. You take this, that works. They just need to keep Kenku alive, and Kenku's been doing incredible work on that Baptiste in the back line between the Immortality fields and keeping the team healed.
Exactly, and Boxer being on the Sigma is kind of going to be a two-handed job here, because one, obviously, you're going to be able to control that pace a little bit and be able to kind of counter Shell a little bit. But at the same time, you're able to take angles away from Lore, but Goose is the one that's trying to take a couple of unnecessary angles and going to get caught out, so now Divinity with an opportunity to simply just run through this team right now. Gonna have to use the ice blocks to be able to survive temporarily. Gonna try to get out because you see the aggression, but nobody else down quite yet. The Immortality field is ultimately going to get pushed out as well. Snoop's trying to find the right headshot at the right time, as they are going to solidify on this corner. Temporarily gonna wall people for a moment, but now Snoop's gonna have to once again bring up the ice block in a very uncomfortable situation, as Laura is just ready to try to burn them down. But you know, give them some credit. That is some good fuel to be able to stay alive in that situation. But still, Snoop's ultimately going to drop down anyway. Boshell just gonna try to run down Boxer right now, and unfortunately going to get burnt away. And with 20 meters and counting, King's Gambit already just getting ran over with this recent hump.
This is worst case scenario, as these fight wins just chain together and Divinity just takes the space. They'll just continue to pull a lead and just kind of just cement this in. Kenku already has a window, but Panda's matching it right now, and there's no defensive on the side of King's Gambit now. Helios still holding onto their sound barrier. You know, it'll be there when Blizzard's ready, but right now Divinity just has a few more tools. There's a lot of damage out of their comp between the Symmetra and the Bastion, and there's just really little to stop it between Immortality, Field, and Suzu. It's just it's kind of struggling to keep yourselves alive for King's Gambit at this point.
46 meters is going to be the total for Brig CS for the time being, as they're going to back out a little bit. They want King's Gambit to come into them a little bit more, because the moment they do, they're going to throw that window on them, or they're going to manage to throw in Boshell to try to find somebody off. As going to come in again, Snoops. This is the second or third time that I've seen them lose the freeze in that situation. And now Boshell going to attempt to find another. Going to barely miss that. Boxer trying to find somebody, but we are going to see that beat come online as Kenku gonna take down Goose. Boxer, though, getting run down for the time being, could go down, but eventually Divinity gonna win this fight again? And honestly, they should be able to get this butt scratch as well.
I also think that Boxer ended up throwing in Flux, not finding anybody either, and that was your second biggest. Like, that was your next big ult to try to stop him. Yeah, that's likely they'll get the butt scratch here, and Divinity won that for pretty much free. They're now in a great position to deal with this window. They now have the alleyway in control. They'll have a wall for a defensive. Snoop's going to the soldiers to try to put a little more consistent damage down, but he's already gone, and so is Goose.
Yeah, and unfortunate situation. We are see Boxer try to bring that bot back a little bit. They have to know, as they are actually just going to flip it completely and try to bring it back. They want to try to get it to that point, as they are kind of getting away with it for the time being. Eventually going to be back in a situation where this is a winnable fight. They're going to bring in the Kutseni Rush, try to burn down Panda, going to be successful, but with lower dropping, you lose out on a ton of damage. Now this fight becomes winnable. A bow shell just absolutely running down this line, finding two of their own. Now with Boxer trying to get out of there, not going to be successful, and poor Goose wants to escape with the lives of bow shell, said, no thank you, we're just going to keep pushing this one along.
Yeah, I respect trying to keep the bot from going forward. Like, it was a play to make. I'm not sure that it worked off, especially because it was a relatively cheap retake. You know, it only cost the window for Divinity, and now they have artillery, they have a wall. They'll come up to both that are defensive. You know, Divinity has been rotating these defensive ultimates so well, and hasn't even needed them, that they have both up again. King's Gambit now has rails for Goose, and they'll eventually come into a visor, but you really would love to have Kitsune for both of those instead. It's gonna be one of these hit scans needing to come up huge here and get past both of these defensives.
Yeah, if Laura catches somebody here, it's worst case scenario, and unfortunately,
oh
no, lose your Baptiste so early on, and now Laura just gonna burn down these members once again, and now that 80 meters gonna likely go up to 90. It could potentially go up to 100, and there's still 5.5 minutes on the clock and all. But right now, Divinity not budging an inch against King's Gambit.
No, they just know what they need to do. Their game plan is so set here. 4 ultimates up, 2 defensives. They have all the tools to counter and keep this push alive. They don't even need to keep pushing. They could just stop and just play to win here and just hold, but they want to get the completement. That's the final statement they want to make, is a full complete here.
Oh my god, they're going to cleanse for the time being, but still going to manage to catch Snoop in the process. Boshell going to stay aggressive up into that, going to try to go up. The Flux is going to manage to catch onto them temporarily, but Boshell still has the healing to be able to survive, staying up somehow through all this damage being thrown at them, and now Goose trying to be the champion. This team is eventually going to be taken out, but I think the damage is already going to be done. Boxer going to manage to find onto Boshell, and finally, after 5.5 minutes, King's Gambit going to win themselves a fight and will be able to take that back to the neutral ground.
They have quite a hike ahead of them, though, Hunter, because they have to get it back to mid. They might get it to mid for free if they're lucky. But then they have to start the 100-meter push. And, you know, this is the closest to a neutral they've had and seen in a long time. Monkey does have a Kitsune. There's not much behind it, but it is their only tool. I want to see it aggressively here so they can maybe get some value and get a pick from it.
Yep, you're actually going to come out fairly, reduce that TP setup for a moment, as right now, Divinity is going to give a little bit of leeway to King's Gambit. You can afford to give them a lot of space, and in fact, you almost want them to come out into the open a little bit more, and Moonkite going to go down. Divinity not going to hold up here. They're going to get aggro, and they're going to take down Snooze. Eventually going to see the chase down onto Goose, who's trying to find a pick to try to make something happen, but a nice little snipe from Jax, and now Divinity just going to bring it right back the other way with only 10 meters to Gambit's speed.
Look at how clinical this team is, though. They know they just have one on the bot, and everybody else is prepared, holding this great hallway setup. They know clinically what they need to do to close this out. They'll have basically 3 to 4 ults. They'll have both defensive up, including end and artillery. I mean, they just have the tools to survive the longer fight from it.
Yeah, and Snoop's
Bastion
barely
on
going
like
to
one. Snoop's
survive.
on 1 HP. Oh my god.
Oh, the immortality field does help out, as you are going to trade things out now. This Flux needs to be the biggest one you've ever hit in your life. Going to get rid of one, the beat going to come out, and now this beat might end up not really resulting in anything. It's going to keep them alive temporarily, cause a bit of stall, but Boxer trying to eat away that damage. You are having Panda and Mukai back to be able to keep them up, and the damage is being pumped in so much right now, but eventually simply going to be forced out, as once again, King's Gambit come away with a fight win. But again, they're so far away from even sniffing the amount of meterage that Divinity has right now.
Realistically, the real saving grace there was the fact that they had to close their spawns and were able to hold that off. But They don't have those here now back at mid. Divinity is going to just, they're going to move early. Snoops is going to, I like this. Snoops is going to aggress early. He's going to try to force them to make an error and win in the confusion. I like this play.
Yeah, we are seeing it come out, gonna do a little bit of damage, but nobody going to be caught on his bow shell. Gonna stall that out, and Laura going down first does give them the opportunity, but Snoop's in a bad position. The immortality field from Panda going to keep them up for the time being. You need a headshot here, Goose. Eventually gonna get rid of Kentu. That is a really good first step. They're gonna make their way out of there temporarily. Eventually gonna get rid of bow shell, and you're gonna throw that Kitsune there at the very end. I understand the situation you're in, but you're gonna want that back later. But on the bright side, you win that fight. Really needed to win it too. So now, King's Gambit, I think this is potentially their last opportunity to get something working.
Yeah, I mean, they have to just chain these wins together now. This is only their second fight win in the whole map, and it's a minute 40 on the clock. You need to chain these now. I don't hate the Kitsune rush there, but I do hate Goose falling early because he was your only ultimate, and now there's already a wall up with the Symmetra teleporting onto your backline. It's just not looking good here. And the early immortality field already.
What? Yeah, I mean, I get they didn't really have too much of a choice either. You are going to manage to get people out of that situation, so King's Gambit should be able to come back in time for this next fight before this bot gets back to the checkpoint, but Goose cannot drop in the meantime.
They can't. Well, they can't take the engage until the immortality field's back up, and now Tylenol Tor's down. Like they can't. That was just a terrible chain of events. Yeah, it's over. They didn't have immortality field back up. Panda dies with window, and you know they'll get bot back around. This is such a rough spot now. There's both. So, oh my gosh, they have both defensive backup plus a window, and Divinity is just looking to close this out. You can tell they wanted the full take, but they might have to just settle for winning it with a dominant full 4 of these ultimates instead here.
Yep, Laura's just waiting for the opportunity to go in. In fact, they're just going to send that through first, and now it's likely they're just going to back out and use this right away. So they're going to go around the corner, Flux going to come up, only going to catch onto Bowshell, going to miss that spear. Bowshell actually is going to go down, so it is a great sign you need to be able to win this fight. You are going to lose Boxer, but that fight should still go in the favor of King's Gambit. And now, while you had opportunities before, this is it. You need to win 5, 6 fights in a row.
I don't know. Like, yeah, you need to. But Hunter, I'm looking at these team comps. There is nothing defensive on the side of King's Gambit. They're all aggression. If they are going to win, they need to use these ults and find value aggressively because there is a wall, there is sound barrier, immortality field. There is so much longevity on this Divinity team. They win simply if the fight goes longer and the longer it takes.
Yep, we're seeing that Kitsune rush come online. Gonna send down all that damage.
It's over.
You're gonna find Snoops to start things out there. Boxer trying to survive the best that they can, but they're being shut down one at a time. Brig CS has forced the Kings to bend the knee, and Divinity claims another title and will be the NA Masters Champions of Season 12.
With a dominant showing at that. Wow. Just a pure clinic from this Divinity team, bringing home yet another title for their org, and a lot of it was due to the back of this man here, Laura. You know, Bastion, Sojourn really put in just so much work. You know, again, just kind of left uncontested, knew exactly when to trust their team to take the space. You know, the team made the space for Laura to really make sure they were able to get the Sojourn rails and to make sure they could go forward with those Bastion wheels and just put out the damage they needed. A well-deserved victory for the Divinity team.
Yeah, it was just so dominant throughout, and I know we saw like glimpses of like could it go this way, could it go that way back on Saragossa, but I think that's about as uncomfortable as, you know, Divinity ended up getting. Yeah. Even then, it wasn't a whole lot of uncomfortability either. They were still winning a lot of fights, just Gambit was coming up clutch in a lot of situations, but the moment the map became a lot more linear, everything became more simple, so to speak. Like Saragossa is a crazy map, but Coliseum, you just have to run in a straight line in most of these comps, and unfortunately, running into lower on that Bastion, that is a terrifying combo, and it just did not work out for them.
It really does speak to Divinity, though, right? Like they running through the upper brackets, they come back against King's Gambit, they get beat there, and they just decide, look, we are not letting this happen. We are way better than this. We don't know what happened, but we are not going to let that happen. We're going to make a statement here for next season coming into, you know, the next multi-tier tournament that we are the champions and we are going to be a team that you have to watch out for. And I think they've done that today, and they've made a statement for their org as well in regards to, look, we've taken not one title in Masters, but we took another one as well. Our whole org just wins. All we do is win.
Yeah, it's just so solidly impressive. Like, there are thousands of words that I could say, but it just all lines up to that one word. impressive. And of course, with this being the finals here, we are going to set up for an interview, but we are going to take a quick break to be able to make sure we have that all set up. So don't go anywhere, as Divinity going to give us a nice little interview here, as we are going to be celebrating their 7th title win as an organization. So make sure you stay around, as it should be a pretty fun interview. Stay tuned. Welcome back, everybody, once again at the conclusion of the grand finals of the NA Masters tier. Back here with Sylvan, we have ourselves a pretty special guest here for the interview, the DPS over from the side of DB Brig CS, Jack Sky. Welcome, and first of all, to start things out, congratulations on a very dominant grand finals victory.
Awesome. Thank you guys for having me. It was awesome to play in, and I'm just really glad to be here.
I mean, pleasure's ours, man. Pleasure's ours, man. How are you feeling right now? I mean, this is a big win for you and your org. Like, how does it feel coming after such a long season to come out on top?
I'm feeling really hype right now. We just got out of a VC. We were all celebrating, and after this, we're gonna be, shooting some shots, having some fun with the boys. You know how it goes. It's been a really long season. I know we've only lost one game, and that was actually to this team in the semifinals. But we brought it back, and we 4-0'd them. We read them like a book. We practiced all week. We had some, technical difficulties, but we got there, and we made it count where it matters.
Yeah.
Makes sense. So I'm curious, because I've been in the situation as well, where you go through this big season, you're doing fantastic, and suddenly this team comes up and beats you in the playoffs. So in that situation, what's kind of the mindset when you have to go back up against this team that, I don't know if I'm not going to use the phrase has your number in a sense, but a team that has kind of like shown the cracks that you present. What's the mindset going into that situation, into these grand finals?
For sure. We actually had a few fills in, and I don't want to be that guy, but I was sick that week. Still playing, but not to my 100%. Obviously, it's not just me on the team, but our mentals were not faltered though. When we lost that game, that was our first loss. We were actually, happy we finally had a challenge in this league, and it honestly pushed us harder. I mean, we spent this past week after beating that last game last week, we spent this whole week scrimming 2 blocks every single day. We prepared maps that we knew that we would play, and they played every single map we knew they would play. They fell straight into our hands, and we read them like a book. That's all I could say about that.
Wow. I mean, it sounds like you guys really just hit that montage and just came to life on it. You said it yourself. You're not the only one on this team. So I want to ask about a couple of the players on your team, if it's okay. Obviously, you've shown some incredible work, but 2 in particular that we noted, seem like they're fresh faces to not just your team but to CGL, were Laura and Helios. And how did you, they both had incredible performances today. Where did you find these guys? Did you just pick them up off of ladder? Were they friends of friends? Like, how do you build a team that comes this far?
Absolutely. Actually, our tank Boshell and I were the original DPS duos of Divinity. But it's college season, and we are on our different college teams, and we actually picked up Lore from his college team. I won't, tell where it is, but
yeah, of course.
He's an awesome hit scan player. I love to have him on the team. We've built a lot of synergy over the past few months, and he's a great team leader. He actually builds a lot of the comps for us. He's really great coach, leader, everything like that. Helios is he's been playing Lucio for us. We actually had we've actually had a lot of Lucio players coming in and out, like Proximus. Shout out to him. He's been with us through thick and thin. But Helios, man, he's a game changer. He's not afraid to be aggressive where it counts. He really complements his Kenku's Bab, Kiriko, everything like that, and I just couldn't ask for a better team.
Yeah, it definitely sounds like it. And, before we do end up closing things out here, I do want to give you the opportunity to, if you want to thank anybody or shout some people out, whether it's your teammates, whether it's, your dog, your parents, the mailman who brought you the Sunday paper this morning. Anybody to thank? This is definitely a great opportunity to do so.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I obviously want to thank our manager, Leah. She's been here through everything, even though she, might not show up to our scrims or games, but she's scheduling us. So thanks to her. Shout out to obviously everyone on the team, Kenku, Maze, Gyro Dog, Boshell, Lore, Proximus, everybody here. We've been through so much together, and honestly, I'm just so excited. Shout out to my 3 cats, Bing, Still, Regano. Love you guys. Yeah, man. Everyone has just put in so much work. I'm super proud.
Well, thank you, Jax, for coming on in, sharing your passion, your love, and but we don't want to keep you any longer. Go celebrate with your team. Thank you for the time and the interview.
Thank you so much, guys. Good night.
I mean, Hunter, I think his energy says it the best. Like, that is the team that worked hard. They wanted to go undefeated. They wanted to. They hit the roadblock and just doubled down and said, no, we are going to win this. And that's exactly what they did. And it shows through that energy and that spirit.
Yeah, it 100% does, and it feels like this isn't something you see every day as well, because obviously a lot of teams build with the mentality of we want to be able to win it all, but some teams will go down a very serious, no fun mindset, and that can work, and that is kind of how it is at the very highest level. But to kind of have this sense of camaraderie with the team, to just to be able to feel like your brothers, that's what's so exciting about being on a team, being in a league, is this is what you dream of, to make it to the grand finals, to win with the heel that you've been playing with for months on end. It's a dream-like scenario, honestly. I'm so happy these players get to experience this. Honestly.
Hey, even equally as exciting, we got to experience it alongside them, because that was, the 4-0 was still, a dominant showing, but it was an incredible match nonetheless. So, I mean, I'm just happy to have been here with you to cast this, and good to catch with you for an incredible game like this.
Yep, 100%. And I will, just because we do have to mention, obviously, King's Gambit not the best showing that they could have had, but you still managed to finish second overall. You managed to beat this team before in the upper finals in a situation where maybe you shouldn't have, but they proved that they had it within them to make it happen. So they end up taking that second place along with Aimless down in that third place position. So, they definitely still made a showing for themselves within this season. And hey, maybe we'll get to see them next year, and maybe they'll build themselves stronger, and maybe there'll be a little bit of redemption story as well.
Yeah, look, there's always season 13, and if you can take your team and even grow, maybe you stay in Masters, maybe you go head on up to the GM and the Open tier. You never know, but either way, all of these teams, these top 3 teams, Aimless, King's Gambit, and Divinity, teams you need to watch out for in 13. So a great showing from all of them. Just can't all be winners, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's the unfortunate scenario, but at the end of the day, it ends up being a dominant matchup, but it's still a good matchup. But it is, at the end of the day, all that we're going to have for you today. But tomorrow, we will still have a couple of matches on our hands. We're going to have the EUPC Open Finals, which we're going to have that, I believe, is going to be at 3:30
3:30 Eastern.
And then we're going to have the NAPC Open, which is going to happen at 8 p.m. EST. So 2 fantastic matches happening tomorrow. Really, really don't want to miss them. I'm sure they're both going to be fantastic. Probably closer than this one. I really do hope so. But still, before we go out, so I want to give you that floor as well. Overall feelings on today. Anybody you also particularly want to thank?
No, I mean, aside from our incredible, all of our incredible production crew, Rhino holding it down from that, and all of our incredible observers who already bolted that I can't even shout them out, but we had several of them on, but shout out to all of them for giving us the incredible views and making sure we didn't see anything. So from us behind to you guys, thank you all for some incredible Overwatch and an incredible season of this Masters tier.
Could not have said it better myself.